going on that's outside of the software. Uh, yeah, getting
I can't hear nothing. I'm not hearing anything on you. Yeah, you froze on my end. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, it's frozen. It's freezing up on my end. But there we go. Well, just got audio and it just went back out. Yo, can you hear me though? I don't know what's going on with it. Yes. What do you want to have? Aubrey can get you something. Yes. What do you want? Yes. What do you need? Okay. Oh, she won't let you have Girl Scout cookies?
Yo, Troy, I'm still here. I'm sorting out some internet issues.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah, I think I got it. Is it finally solid? Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, audio and you moving good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I don't know what was going on, man. They don't want me to shine today. You know what I'm saying? It's a great day to be alive. You know,
Yeah.
man. So yeah, I'm I'm trying to see. I'm checking my Wi-Fi and stuff real quick,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and and it's supposed to be just on Ethernet, and I don't know why is that. See, like the signal's already improved.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, man, I apologize for the people that's been hanging on, waiting for us to start talking and stuff. But man, good to see you again. Glad to be able to, you know what I'm saying, stay on task with what we were trying to do. Um, and How you been, Troy?
Brother, I've been well. I've been well. I'm actually just playing around some stuff. I'm trying to offend you with my background imagery. So I'm
I saw your shenanigans that you was working on back there, man. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, go ahead, man.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Dealing the wife is out. I got my kids, my youngest two here, And my son is trying to come in here and disrupt my little setup. Got me some space. Got me a little filler light, a little bouncer.
Yeah, yeah.
Because normally I look like I do right now.
Right.
So I'm getting it together over here, man. Doing my best, doing my best. Glad to be on with you, though.
Yeah, man. I almost feel like I need to, you know what I'm saying, run the intro again once you get set up. This is why like sound check is important. You know what I'm saying? I saw you when you came in. I think I spoke to you and everything, and then the
I couldn't hear nothing after a while.
yeah, and I think um the browser started having problems with the internet. And then I looked at
Yeah,
it, I was like, I don't know what setting or something went right to Wi-Fi, but I usually have mine on Ethernet. You know what I'm saying? So to avoid that type of situation, I got to have the strongest signal if I'm gonna run the show.
exactly. I hear that.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, in that situation, uh, now we got past the technical stuff and you're starting inviting people because now we can what I'm saying, get the conversation going, man. We're gonna be talking about adjustments, and I think that's a very simple conversation for you and I to have, uh,
Exactly.
and just staying in the right space because everybody got to make some adjustments, man. We all do.
Yes, sir.
So let's see here. All right, man. Finally starting to get my sound back on the other side of other channels.
Okay.
Be clicking and stuff.
Yeah, you hear it.
Yeah, that's why I got to get somebody else on this, man. At some
Yeah, I'm
point.
airdropping it stuff. I got some sound stuff I'm putting together, and I'm getting the test out. I just haven't had time to test this stuff out yet because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to make sure I can deliver something to add some value to the whole game we got going on, man. And I just investing in the whole project and product myself.
Yeah, man. Ain't nobody gonna do it for us. So,
No.
man, yeah, like a couple weeks ago when we did the first installment of this conversation, we were talking about like the biggest gaps between, what I'm saying, men that relate to each other is the guys that's in our age bracket, 45 to like the mid 40s and 50s down to the late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
And so in that, um, you know, that conversation is, saying, ongoing. And so like since then, I had to come up with some topics that kind of like stayed neutral enough to have a conversation. Is that it's in 2024, what examples of adjustments are being made between men that men respect?
Yeah.
And who benefits from the adjustments between men? And those are like two questions that kind of like stood out as the most important because you can come up with a few other things to go along with it, but it's just gonna trail off. We need to be
Hmm.
thinking about how to center the conversation on on the two most important things, the primary and the secondary, right?
Yep.
Because all we don't have, it ain't no plan C's no more. It's just not. It's either A or B. You know what I'm saying? You got to get you don't have that many options. You know what I'm saying? Because when you start getting down in the your plans got to be based on your resources. You know what I'm saying? What you can control and what you can influence. So far in 2024, what examples of adjustments are being made between men that men respect? So I thought that was a pretty valid conversation to start off with.
I just got to
And
jump on right that. Well, first of all, it's showing up, right? Because a
yep,
lot of people have words, actions, activities rolling off their tongue, and they show up as a certain way, but they're trying to be considered and respected in a different light. And nobody's really going for it. Even when we are talking as men who carry ourselves with a certain level of respect and we have an expectation that others around us respect us, They don't come into the meeting present, ready to respect someone like us. So it's either we oblige them and correct them, or we keep it moving and take the show with us. You know, that's the whole context I have. Even when I'm at a work site where I'm not the manager, CEO, director, whatever the case is, I'm still a man that's worth respect, and I have a certain expectations how others around me show up. And you could not want to listen or pay attention, but when the shouting and screaming starts and the alarms go off, don't look for me, because your opportunity to be connected and be in tune with what I have going on has already passed. And you will never get that option again.
Yeah, I think the first step that a lot of people are making in this lane is about establishing sovereignty. You know what I'm saying? And really being able to prove it. Because once you know the answer to something, you know what's true. You know what's you know what I'm saying. You know what you can actually go prove
Yep.
statistically. I don't have to accept somebody else's criticism about what I already understand. You know what I mean? And you need to be that's part of standing on business. You know what I'm saying? So that even though that's a hot phrase, you know what I'm saying, as of right now, being able to stand on business is definitely part of the entire mix. The first adjustment you got to make, you know what I'm saying, is establish who you are to yourself. And if you have to step away to do that, that's that's the only way you can do that, actually. You know what I'm saying? Because as long as you're part of the negative conversations, the complaints, the unproductive circular talks, you're not helping.
Exactly.
So sovereignty is very important, and that's part of like why you could see the separation between men who have not established their own sovereignty and those that have. It's easier to argue when you don't have your own territory. You know what I'm saying? Like you're always going to be in a conversation where you're trying to count somebody else's pockets in so many words. And at some point, you got to dig in and get what you're supposed to have. You know what I'm saying? And I think some of the examples of adjustments, that's being made in this conversation is about ownership. It's about respect. It's about what I'm saying, setting conditions to win
Yep.
and being an asset.
Yep. And definitely setting conditions to win. I had to adjust myself in this new year after a long journey of finding the direction I plan on going. And when I made this adjustment, it was off the basis of I've tried it this way, my way. I've got feedback. I got information. I may have not adjusted as fast as others have wanted me to. But with regards to that adjustment, I may heed your advice and never talk to you ever again, brother. I may have an understanding and take something of value from what you said and never give you access to see how that story turns out, because I do control it. And regardless of me owning the business and owning the brand in the environment, my nomad mercenary mentality allowed me to be unencumbered and to traverse this earth in a way that I felt like I had agency and sovereignty. With regards to me having a foundation, having a family, a wife that can't move the way I can, and move as fast as agile as I can, well, okay, it makes sense that I bolster them by branding my family, building my trust, establishing my nonprofit entity and all of my business entities, and actually bring that wife in onto the planning of how our family operates and how we move and grow within our actual networks. And yes, in 2024, yeah, we've seen a lot of growth. We already got multiple properties we lined up to be able to provide our services out of. We got other resources, financial grants is coming to our table. A lot of people jumping on the team to assume their roles and their position. But truth of the matter is, I wasn't as interested in this because I like being agile, unencumbered, moving fast. To some people, this was the goal. Hell, this was the end goal of my life. However, for me, nah, I don't see the same value, but I am learning to try things a different way to adjust, because this gives my wife and my kids the confidence that I have already. So I'll build something for them. I slow down a little bit. I'll establish this operation, our organization, our entity, something that they can have into the future. But yeah, I still feel the same way. You can have something and I can take it. I have to keep it after I take it, but I still can take it. I used to think there was more value in just assuming control over established infrastructure. But I get it. Having a family, they need something that they don't necessarily have to fight tooth and nail on a daily basis to keep. And for me, that's iron sharpening iron and my teeth staying sharp, you know? But at the same time, it doesn't give them the opportunity to rest and be peaceful. So they're not going to give me the opportunity to rest and be peaceful, no matter how dangerous I make my environment. Because the danger I create makes it safe for me. However, for that family, it doesn't do that. So yeah, I adjusted and I am establishing that brand and I'm attaching myself to the brand that I will be inextricably linked to for the rest of my life. And I felt like that was almost like death for a very long time because if I could take this bridge and destroy the access to the other bridge, yeah, I felt good about where I was going to be at and where I could bunker down and hold up. I felt good about my position. I felt like I had a high point on the hill, right? But even the spider hole, the foxhole, and all the rabbit holes down that hill who are trying to inch closer and closer, yeah, that happens to be your family. They need the access. They need to feel strong. They need to be able to come out of hiding. So you got to build a castle. Yeah, we can target your castle. We can make plans to storm your castle. We could shoot cannonballs at your castle, but that family still feels better having that castle instead of fighting it out the way that you have been and building your confidence. So that's the way I'm changing in 2024.
Yeah, you got to really take the lead and decide, hey, there's some things I got to go do in a manner that you don't need to see. I I got to go get my hands dirty. You know what I'm saying, to accomplish some of the things that makes it easy. You know what I'm saying, to criticize sometimes.
Yep.
Uh, because sometimes, man, hey, when you got criticisms, man, like it's usually coming from a very comfortable place.
Mm-hmm.
Criticisms normally come from what I'm saying, from people that benefit the most from it.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
that's why you just need to keep your plan to yourself, because even before you met them, everything that you had done, they didn't know anything about it. They
Yep.
don't know anything you did. They can't process anything you did.
They were not in the
They were
audience.
not in the audience, not even in the
Yep.
not in the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's quite a few different places. So like, there's literally no value
Yep.
in divulging your plans. You know what I'm saying? It's shift and create the space to do the thing you're gonna do anyway. So just keep it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? As much as possible. Um, and within reason too. You know what I'm saying? Because one of the things that's part of the adjustment factor too that I had to make coming into this year, I was like, I'm not doing nothing by myself no more.
Yeah.
Like, and really being honest about it. You know what I'm saying? And since I said that, man, I done started connecting with people that I know want to, you know what I'm saying, see their thing come to fruition, not waste their time while helping other people. Like, even down to, like, even this conversation is this the social contract is, you know what I'm saying, it's a sign of adjustment,
Yeah.
sign of flexibility. It's it's just really flexible. It's adaptive. You know what I'm saying? Because I went from doing a morning show on a Wednesday to saying, like, well, let's try this on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's only so many conversations you can have
Exactly.
about, like, whatever a topic is. But men have to be, I guess, reasonable enough
Mm-hmm.
to say we need help. Everything that we not accomplishing, I believe at this point, is because of a lack of help.
Yep. Yep.
Because it's not that you don't know how to do it. It's only your resource can only take you so far
Far.
based on what you understand.
Yep. Your time in the day, the allotment of rest within the sequence of days, because we done got a lot of shit done, 36 hours going at it.
Mm-hmm.
And worried about getting more sleep is just the concept that eventually you must rest. Eventually you must put down arms and everything like that. So thinking about you saying you inviting more into the table, Like that's why I was closing things off because I
Yeah.
was so many people at the table. It was taking so much out of me. I was about to come on here with my eye patch on from 2022, 2023. Like, yeah, man, damn that eye patch. It was because I had opened up the door and I was talking to so many people, and I didn't realize how much stress it would put on me mentally and emotionally. And I'm having these conversations, but I'm taking on their stories at the same time. I'm taking on their storylines and their story maps. And I'm figuring out how these things work in these different places. Somebody says that's a waste of time. Why would that be a waste of time? If I'm aligning myself with the resources of 100 other men who have 100 other families, and we are putting ourselves in a position to work together, ultimately, this is not even a community. This is a nation. So how is this a waste of time? They're like, how is this a waste of resources? But I know what it was taking out of me.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of step back and say, okay, this is how I can manage this.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people I'm going to be able to communicate with. And once again, here's our outlet. Here's our outlet, right? You said we come with the podcast. I seen something. I seen a conversation. I said, yeah, I'll talk to that guy. You offered it to me already, but I'll talk to that guy. I'll jump on the podcast. I'll have that conversation because while having a conversation with that one young man, I'm actually having a conversation with 4 other young men in my network that I'm sharing this stream with, right? And they can go back to and remember the conversation I had with them. It's like, okay, that's a little bit more he was trying to get to and tell me about when we was having this conversation 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
When they get it, they get it. When they hear it, they receive it. And if the book comes, right, after the succession of our conversation and building these audiences, right, they get to read it and resource it, and
Yeah.
research it. And I like to see what you've done over the years with that because we've had the conversations. You've done your research, you've done your writing, you put it together, you took the time to build the audience and establish the brands, and then you come with the actual product. But this product isn't a fucking t-shirt line. It isn't just a brand. It's actually a tool. It's a toolkit. So there you go. You got something you can take with you now. The conversation sticks with you, and you try to recreate it on your own, on your social media pages. You try to take my conversation that I started and have conversations with your friends and family, with your spouse, your mate, whatever the case is. And there you go. Now you're having to read the book to actually learn what this man is talking about and others who are contributing to the conversation. And you're able to actually formulate a better, compelling argument where people actually listen and respect you now. That's what we talk about accountable masculinity. There's a pathway towards it always, but you still need that so-called mentor. But you're not going to opt in to the man selling a mentorship program. You're going to opt into someone that's actually doing the work and providing the pathways in real time so you can just get in line. And you're getting in line and they're listening to it. And yeah, we want more people to be able to step up and have that moment with themselves and their own network, kind of utilizing this same branding. There used to be way more branding around trending topics and hashtags. We have so many trending topics, so many hashtags off of all the different platforms that we're moving away to what actual hashtags we resonate with versus what hashtags we can get short-term enjoyment from. So yeah, accountable, something that people talk about. Accountability, something that people think they can apply. Masculinity, something that people think they got control over, no matter if they're a man or a woman. Wow, that's amazing. That hashtag isn't going to trend. That hashtag isn't going to pop off the pages, but it's just going to be a part of everybody's life forever. Accountable masculinity is something that everybody in their personal lives is seeking. Why can't they find it? Well, we found out already, and I've heard you say it before. They don't know what accountability is. They definitely don't know what masculinity is. So defining two things together that they have no understanding for individually or even within themselves is going to be, finite. They're not going to ever be able to accomplish that. So there you go. You got the toolkit. Like I said, I'm screaming it. I'm saying the words for you. I'm hitting the pitches for you because I got it right out the gate.
Yeah.
Right out the gate. So the pitch writes itself.
And the thing is, it alters your view. It cleans it up. It reads the room right away. You know what I'm saying? You either gonna make the reason people have a hard or circular conversation where it's people just talking.
Yep.
They're communicating, but it's not effective communication in which a person receives it.
Yep.
And so everybody can talk around accountability, whatever account means. But without discipline, none of it connects. And when you see like people try to define, like masculinity, right? They define it by the worst examples possible.
Exactly.
When the truth is, being feminine or being masculine both require you to be disciplined in order for it to be respectful.
Yep.
If you don't have any discipline, then nothing you don't represent is going to have the same effectiveness. Because I'm not going to say you're not going to have no type of impact, but what's the probability versus possibility? Exactly. Which one is more likely to be on the side of everything that you want? Being disciplined or being undisciplined? Being disciplined is only two mindsets. So if you can bring everybody to the table that believes that they operate above what undisciplined people represent to the same conversation, how many more solutions are we going to get out of those people? You know what I'm saying? We're going to naturally attract problem-solving people. And everybody's going to have something to contribute because you're not attracting the worst people.
I think people kind of heard what you said at the end and say, oh, the worst people. I mean, gosh, I was trying to find myself in his words. And then he said the worst people. And I get hung up and caught up on that. The idea that you can add value is definitely open at the conversation level. But you may come to the conversation with the wrong energy. And we don't have to listen or give you the opportunity to project anything at all. So you claiming a time or you saying, this is how I feel. As soon as you say, this is how I feel, we know you're not coming from a disciplined mindset because your feelings are not required. So I think a lot of people look for these reels and these videos that give you the 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. They say that's what discipline is, doing it exactly like somebody else said. No, if you were disciplined, you would be discerning that that process couldn't be whittled down to a 1, 2, 3. There are more components to this particular thing, and you're not going to acknowledge it because somebody is going to leave that other information out. It makes it easy for you. That is not discipline, thinking that you can pick something up and watch one video and follow those steps and not research it and not do any reading behind it. So that's not discipline either. Just because you said something works a certain way, you have to vet that person. You have to discern whether or not they actually are capable of something that they told you about. Just because they made it seem like it's reasonable enough for you to do it too.
Man, because like you could literally read it when you see people respond on social media. You could tell they just read what you said to respond. They just you know what I'm saying, commented to respond. They didn't comment to understand. And there's a low level learning mindset in that and being undisciplined. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like you're only doing things for attention. Like undisciplined people do things for attention.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Disciplined people participate in things for understanding and education and learning something new. You know what I'm saying? Actually making a time count. Because like think about it, bro. Think about all the experiences you got. Because you're older than me. Think about all the dumb people you had to go through.
Younger than you. Listen, man, this right.
Hey, I'm counting the grades. You know what I'm saying? I'm going off the grades.
Just because I look like Jeffrey from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air right now by the beard, bro.
Man. Look, hey, look, you know how to grow a beard. I don't know how to grow one of those things. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm like, bombs to the left of me. Bombs to the right.
Cannons to the left of me. Yeah, man, like, but you know how many problematic people that you have to go through in life just to get a nugget of information.
Oh yeah.
Like over and over, or just different forms.
Mm-hmm.
People, you faces you'll never remember,
Mm-hmm.
in places you probably only been once.
Yeah.
And even if you've been there multiple times, it's a new set of faces.
Mm-hmm.
It take a lot of experience to be able to come down to like, man, life is about one or two things, and everybody's got to have one or two things that life is about.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear it.
Some people are going to say it's about family. Some people are going to say it's about friends. Everybody's got that one or two things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting the most out of life, I believe, what I'm saying, as it pertains to, just being able to access stuff,
Mm-hmm.
is you got to have your freedom. And you are further away from your freedom without discipline. That is just point blank. I don't know very many free people, mentally free people that are undisciplined. Well, I'm not gonna say that. They're free in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm talking about is objective freedom, like where you are either in the free world or you behind somebody's, structure.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I've done a little research on this. I've seen more friends than not acquire said freedom after a life of lacking discipline,
Mm-hmm.
because the society is set up to help those who lack discipline. So they got the most help, right? We're talking about the guys who learned a lot from me with the deceased father, and they got a lot of help from me. They learned things along the way where I was never able to trace where they were learning it from, and they would never bring up anybody else since they asked me every question in the book, right? I'm like, these guys that have lacked discipline, have not achieved early, that have now acquired and attained certain levels of wealth and other things like that, they had help all the way. They had mentors. They had old black men teaching them every single thing that they know about something that wasn't their father. And I know black men don't just do that. A black man won't step on another father's toes. So if you have a black father, there's going to be less likely that another black man tries to step in that space, in that lane, and teach you something, teach you a lesson, even if it's something blaring and immediate that he sees. He is less likely to do that because he knows you have a father. So I ask yourself, this men that have had issues but overcome a lot of things in the past, and you feel like you are now disciplined, do you think that you got there by yourself? Do you think that you acquired these skills and this wealth with the knowledge that you was raised with? Or is it knowledge that you acquired through other people seeing something that you were missing and they poured into you and added value to your life? So consider yourself a self-made man makes absolutely no sense, because it is the lack of discipline that allows you an opportunity to be taught certain things. And it's a certain level of discipline that a man raised by another man is just going to have. That's not going to create an opening for other men to come out there and try to teach and show him something. So there you go.
Yep.
You may reach your peak later in life, and you may feel like you got it figured out, but then you forgot how many times you had to bump your head in public for other people to go out of their way to help you. So imagine yourself thinking you're free now when you still haven't paid tithes back to the ecosystem that got you here.
Yeah. And that's why, like, even in the book, talk about decentralized leadership. Like knowing when to lead, when to follow, knowing when to and then legacy and equity, because it's a privilege to give information.
Exactly.
It's a privilege to give information. Like if you can't give it, like imagine living 40 some years, you can't teach anybody anything.
Exactly.
You spend all this time just here complaining. Like what have you done?
Mm-hmm.
And at some point we gotta really have a conversation, amongst with the right audience.
Yep, with the right audience.
Because like I don't want an audience that's gonna think that what we're saying is about them. You can change your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody used to be disciplined to a certain level.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And like I'm not perfect. Disciplined people ain't perfect. We make mistakes too.
Exactly.
Then that's how you got on this side of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like you was talking about before, you know what I'm saying? Like you didn't learn everything you learned because you already knew it. If this was common knowledge, it wouldn't be a conversation right now.
Exactly. Exactly.
It wouldn't even be a topic. It's just like for the same reason we don't talk about I don't know, rain. For the same reason we don't talk about, you know, a particular animal. If we know it's a cow, we're not going to have an extensive conversation about, hey, you think that's a cow or do you think that's a horse? You know what I'm saying? But we're having extensive conversation about what accountability is, what masculinity is, what respect is, what the difference between being feminine and masculine and all of this. You know what I'm saying? So many different ways of looking at the problem. But the reality is that if the problem's going to be solved, it's going to require men to lead it because and the thing is, men have to have a certain level of you got to have a certain mindset that more people are going to compete with you before they compliment you.
Mm-hmm.
More people are going to challenge you before they support you. But if you got something of value that you know you can stand on business about, and you could easily explain it to them, you know what I'm saying, with a couple of clicks here and a click there,
Yeah.
and you show it in a pattern, at some point, somebody's got to say, well, who's mentally ill?
Yeah. Exactly.
Because if you can't accept it, like you got a problem.
Mm-hmm. Who's
You're
crazy?
delusional.
I got a rapid fire lightning round challenge for you because you created the target persona, you gave them the pathway, you have the resource for them to follow up with and get the book.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an interest in knowing exactly what we're discussing today because I see it going to different directions like you do, right?
Yeah.
And we're negotiating this social contract as it's happening, as it's forming, right?
Yeah.
I just had a radical idea. I was like, so, you got a great product. You got a good system. Got a good supply chain, logistics. Would you be more interested in the content and the conversation being growing as rapid fire like the crack game, where it's being whittled down to a derivative? Or would you still prefer it to sell itself and it have an ideology that every cycle, every season, people come back to the true source of knowledge and information that you're putting forward? But ultimately, if it could explode and be rinsed, repeated, and become a derivative of itself and be distributed across all communities like the crack game,
Mm-hmm.
it still serve this purpose.
Yeah. Like I don't care which angle it hits from. Like that's why it's either going to be literature, it's either going to be, you know what I'm saying, a social media conversation. That's why I took the clothing route. That's why I wear the brand. Like I developed this when this wasn't here.
Yeah.
You can go back and look at my videos from 2019. You know what I'm saying? I have any of this. You know, I just turned the camera on. And I had a conversation, and like I believe men should live their life to have some business to stand on.
Yeah.
And the business that you got to stand on, if it's something that you can monetize, then you need to challenge yourself to become a brand to some degree so you can understand, you know, like the other side of what it takes to really be the man that you want to be seen as.
All right. So that's why I like it. We like things that are about the culture because there's so much work that's already been done. It's already out there, right? So I'm like, how do I take this route? Because the cartel in itself isn't the main supplier. The cartel in itself is supported by the US government and they're allowed to be here. But the cartel itself has no freaking interest in those drugs. They just want to get the money out.
It's logistics.
They just want to get the money back out, right? So where are we, right? If as we inject all of this accountable masculinity into the veins of this ecosystem, what are we extracting out?
I think at some point we gotta have a public in-person event. You know what I'm saying? Paid events,
Yeah.
um, sponsorship, tangible things that we can point to on a calendar and say, hey, look, this is what we're doing.
Mhm.
I think organizing,
Yeah.
um, taking the conversation to action. Like conversation is planning. You know what I'm saying? This is negotiating. This is I look at it as just hashing it out. You know what I'm saying? Because I really feel like this platform is dedicated to solutions only.
Yeah.
So by default, you can't come over here complaining. We're gonna get you out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like you're the person we don't need.
Yeah.
I'm not competing or none of that stuff. So I think the extraction for me is probably the ability to inspire.
Yeah.
You got to get something out of it, you know, that's both intangible and tangible. Money's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? I know how to make money. So um, I think that we have to show how to become influential.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody really sees that process,
Yeah.
like on how to become influential.
Yeah.
And some people are very, very susceptible to being distracted by people that they think are what they are. Um, and if you got something to sell, you move different. But if you don't have anything to sell, you move different.
Yeah.
And so your audience is going to change. So like I've always felt like from a clothing perspective, people don't know Tommy Hilfiger's story. They don't know anything about Ralph Lauren, but they go pick it up. They respect the brand and they put it on and they walk out.
Yeah.
And the quality is the quality, the cut is the cut. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna purchase it.
And you have the brand awareness. So the U.S. government says, make our athletes look fly when they walk out there waving our flag.
Mm-hmm.
Ren,
Yep.
you are the culture, Ralph Lauren.
Yep.
Make us look like a team. Make us look like a unit. So thinking about the activation, thinking about all of the movements over the last 10 years, think about the Hebrew Israelites out there, think about the resurgence of the Black Panthers out there, and that concept. They all are just upholding accountable masculinity, protecting your community, establishing a way forward for brothers who are undisciplined, who didn't have fathers. It's the same freaking audience. And we've already done events with those same brothers for all over. We just now have the branding and have the flag that they all can fly.
Yep.
It doesn't clash with none of their ideologies.
At all.
And their ideologies cannot exist if it clashes with what we're talking about.
Right.
It can't exist because it couldn't survive. It couldn't win the battle. And it's fighting a useless fight if it's not about something as simple as this. I really looked at it this way, bro. And you know how everybody does the same design, the same graphics, the same print and everything with their businesses, their coffee shops, their beer, whatever it is. They flatten it down, they commercialize it, and it's cohesive and people kind of accept it because it looks like now. Yeah, I read Accountable Masculinity and I was like, New Age Pan-African.
Mm-hmm.
Idea that you hold yourself to standards that are bigger than you and more important than you from your ancestors, Pan-Africanist, but the language in itself, the identification with the country in itself becomes a polarizing event. And accountable masculinity doesn't do that. Masculinity has never opposed femininity.
At all. Like it can't have one without the other. It respects it.
Exactly. It doesn't do that. So now you give them something that they can hold on to and they can always head nod to. And I'm like, maybe they'll all get it. Maybe they will show up in these places, not just because the people are there, but because the solidarity already exists, even though these brothers here that consider themselves accountably masculine don't know your ideology, they don't know your call letters, they don't know the insignia, they don't know everything they're supposed to do for your team, but they know how to be an accountable masculine male, and they're present.
Yep.
So you got to see that they're still on the same side that you are on.
Yep.
The problem why people in this country are so afraid of terrorists, I believe, is that they think all of those different insurgent groups are on the same side.
Nope.
And they're not.
They not. They don't all have the same alignments. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but they've had similar activations.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And this in itself is that activation. This is the call to arms. And we're trying to activate all these brothers. So whenever we go anywhere, it's understood. And when we're in present and in public and doing those events, it's understood. Yeah, we're going to do football camps. Hey, what is a football camp? I mean, you honestly don't need more than 10 kids to consider it a football camp. But you're going to have young adults and even men of 40 years old that play semi-pro interested in these camps. People who want to be coaches interested in these camps. People who are still in school, people who have kids going to school that are interested in these camps. And here we are, all these men at these different levels talking about accountability and accentuating their masculinity and establishing and expanding the brotherhood. They have been activated now. Now they get it. Now they're no longer just the Patriots fighting the Redskins, right? They're this team versus that team. It's a reason why we have y'all shake hands at the end of the game, because you had to acknowledge that manhood, that person's manhood, for your victory to mean something. For the victory to mean something after the game is over, you have to have a certain level of respect for that opponent.
Yeah. If it don't mean anything after you won, you already anticipated winning anyway. You know, exactly. like you still got to go out and do what you said you was gonna do. Yeah. And if you go out there playing down to your competition and thinking you got more room for error than what you do, you get what you get.
Exactly.
But the thing is, if you come in with the right ideology, it's easy to get people to buy in. You know, like everybody has a choice that they make. We see examples of people that made the wrong choices and even get a chance to hear from the people that made the wrong choices, firsthand experience. Like what happened to me when I walked down this path? Or what happened to, you know, like real world examples.
Counterinsurgency, bro. This is counterinsurgency. The mess of the people not raised by their father is what television has been for the last 20 years. This is exactly what reality television is exactly what an influencer marketplace is right now. So this is counterinsurgency. And that's just crazy that it comes to this, but it has always been a part of that. We have already been writing the literature for decades on end about what masculinity and what being this type of man for your community means. And people have been fighting that path. And some of those brothers got killed. Some of those brothers were exterminated, assassinated, taken out, man. Specifically because they do this. So we have an understanding that somebody benefits for us not being disciplined. And as long as that is the case, then people are going to go out of their way to incentivize others to talk down on you, to make the story that you're putting forward about something else.
Yeah. Distort your narrative.
Yeah.
The whole, there's so many misinformation campaigns that's out there. Like even this morning before I did the live, I was talking in a couple of different groups. You know what I'm saying? Just basically just engaging. And there's people that throw around like weird stats, and you don't have any sources, and then they tell you to go look it up.
Exactly.
And I don't know if they think that that's an answer. I know what it is. It's deflection, you know.
Exactly.
Because if I tell you that I can prove something, then you're going to expect some form of evidence, something to prove your concept, right? I can tell you, like today's pod, we could talk about doing this.
Yeah.
All we want to. We've been on the phone talking about, man, by the time we finish the conversation and we should have recorded that. You know what I'm saying? And this is the diligence of it right here, because we could have the same conversation over the phone.
Exactly.
So until you do something, you have nothing but ideas, plans, visualizations. But somebody can look at you, say dead into your face that and quote statistics and then tell you to go look up what they're talking about. You know how dumb that is?
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. People are talking to each other, but not effectively communicating. See, talking to each other and then communicating is still different than effective communication.
Yeah.
If you don't receive it, was it miscommunicated or misinterpreted?
Exactly.
And if it's been misinterpreted, guess what the issue is? It's still being miscommunicated.
Yep.
Because you're not speaking in the language of the person that you want to understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, I believe men have thick skin, is because nobody's been told no more than men. At all. I don't care what's going on. Nobody appreciates men until they do something that you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure women have a version of what when they're appreciated and when they're not, whatever. But I'm talking about men in general need to hear this and accept this. You know, yeah, ain't nobody coming to save you. We all got that part.
Yep.
But the pursuit of respect is what men are in every day. Like, men pursue respect the way women pursue love. Men are hypergamous to respect the same way women are hypergamous to a man's provision.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to start thinking about that romantically in terms of, like, chasing something that you could never have or never physically possess. You know what I'm saying? Every man should be able to have influence. Mm-hmm. And when you think about the state of whatever home, like you just spoke on, you know what I'm saying? It's been 20, 30 years of single mother programming, you know what I'm saying? Being raised by women, you know what I'm saying? Direct media programming.
Exactly.
And thinking about what a man is just right now just as difficult as trying to describe what a woman is for some people, whether it be biologically or you know what I'm saying, in a subjective conversation about pronouns. It's in conflict everywhere you look.
Yep.
And the truth is, the only way it's going to be fixed is if it becomes a conversation that's easy to digest and easy to pick a side on. The world is a gray area, but the decisions that each person make, they don't make gray decisions. They make black or white decisions, no matter how you do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can live in the gray area, but a choice is what it is. You either make a disciplined or an undisciplined decision, because life ain't black and white, but you still got to you still get the outcomes that reflect your discipline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just thinking about, it's so much wisdom in your words that yes, you can take that, disseminate it, and be able to kind of communicate that in your own life, in your own family. But we still are talking about the same product, and they are a product of their environment, and they need that rock to sell, brother. They need a rock. They need that metaphorical rock to do the hand in hand. So they felt like they were in control. They were in the driving seat. They needed that reason to stand out there in public to be seen so people can identify them for who they are. And then, okay, so the Nation of Islam did it with bean pies.
They definitely did.
Yeah, they definitely did. But those brothers that used to sell bean pies back then, they used to carry a cold, cool blade.
Yeah.
Them drug dealers that we knew in those communities, they come back to the street clean no more. They ain't that sharp because that brother with them bean pies done had to slice them up real quick, give them a quick $1.50.
Yeah.
And people didn't understand that stuff was happening. I said, because the bean pies gave them a reason for being. It gave them a means. It gave them an opportunity to create revenue and add value to the nation. But it also gave them a century. It made them a century in their community where they were out looking after things and seeing things, and everybody knew they were there. But it's only the kind of underhanded single mother raised brother out here slanging dope to his community that don't see that century, because they don't even recognize that figure because they never had that figure in their home. That's why that brother was able to shut him down. That's why the police always catch him, because they don't know what father figures look like, and they don't identify it. So
Man,
they literally get caught up just because they don't respect anything, and they don't respect themselves.
they don't respect themselves. And I was talking to a friend of mine a couple days ago. It's like you can't replicate something you ain't never seen.
Yep.
I don't care how many times you show it on TV. If you ain't experienced it, you still can't relate to it. I like you've seen a cow before, you've seen farm animals. I know what a goat looks like, but I don't know what it is to raise a goat.
Pull on teats. And pull on teats.
Like, yeah, like I don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's not anything of value in it, but I know that I'm limited on what I can discuss when it comes down to it.
Yep. Yep.
And let me hit the Clubhouse up. Oh, for those of you that don't know, I am on Clubhouse. Welcome to Accountable Masculinity Radio. You know, this is AM radio, and you welcome to the conversation. So I'm live right now. For those of you that's on Clubhouse, we get ready to drop a link for the conversation if you want to come jump on, and you know what I'm saying, to share your thoughts on what the current conversation is about the social contract. And in 2024, what examples of adjustments are being made between men that men respect? Who benefits from the adjustments between men? So this is what the social contract is all about. This is about solving the problems, getting the right men in the same conversation, because this is about accountable masculinity. Who benefits most from accountable masculinity? You have a hard time trying to figure out who doesn't, because how do you make a society better without challenging men to take the lead? That's what this conversation is about. That's what's going on. Men got to make adjustments so we can be better counterparts for the men that want to solve problems. And the best thing we can do in that conversation is separate the disciplined men from the undisciplined men. The undisciplined men are generally going to be involved in conflicts that have nothing to do with the greater good. It's self-serving in most cases. The disciplined men are busy solving problems and putting the right people in the right situations and being actual support to each other. It's a huge difference. That's the social contract. Only disciplined men have a social contract with each other. They recognize what's important, and it's above what they think, and what they think is usually above what they feel, and they don't let what they feel control what they think. That's what discipline is. That's what accountability is about, and that's what accountable masculinity is built on. That's pretty good, man. I kind of like that.
Oh, yeah, it definitely played off well, and you hit
Yeah.
all the points.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to for those of you that don't know, Clubhouse. Yeah. So, like, I want to be able to, you know what I'm saying, bridge the gap, you know what I'm saying, on things that matter. I think that that's important, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't find every tool to get the message out, then you just talking to be talking, you know, and that's fine too. But don't stop people or criticize folks that you're not willing to go help. If you got a better idea than me, I want to work with you. Simple as that. If you got a better idea than me, I want to work with you. If you well meaning and you about service and you stand on, you know, if you stay in your lane, I can work with you if you can stay in your lane. I'll follow your Troy. If you got something that you think you could do better than me, I got your back.
That line about the staying in your lane part is definitely poignant. Like I said, that's the thing that I did pick up, that I did listen to somebody that I don't plan on talking to, like staying in my lane in particular. And I wouldn't even want to pull that person out of their lane. I'm going to heed their advice, and they're not going to be a part of the future seasons that I have because they have to stay in their lane. I'm not a blue collar guy. I don't solve blue collar problems. I don't provide services to communities, and I don't go and haul things for others. I did that in high school, waiting to go to college. I don't do that as an adult with a family. So I'm not a service worker. I'm not a blue collar guy. I like solutions for problems that actually plague us throughout our history, throughout our culture, and have to be provided at an institutional level. So, yes, I'm interested in creating and rewriting policy. Somebody else may think you only get into that position because you go to law school, you get elected, or whatever the case is. But I know people who have impacted policy from many different roles, not only school teachers and firefighters and police officers, first responders alike, but there are people who are just the homeless guy that reads more books than everybody, that comes to the meeting every single time, and they heard everybody else talk and they summed up all the points, and they have a great keen sense to be able to make it plain for everybody listening. And his words go on to be policy. His words go on to be doctrine. That person's words go on to be, cemented in the history of great nations like this one we were part of. So like people don't get it. They have a perception of how they think everything comes about. But yeah, it's a little bit of both. Some of it is true. You do know some of the story. You just don't know all of it. So with regards to taking the approach that you have, yeah, that's why it's not selling crack. That's why I asked you. I was like, it's not selling crack, bro. It's not that simple. It's not a derivative. This is the main source of it. Other men have to take this conversation and focus on what they can use to attack and throw stones at other homes when they live in a glass house themselves. You provided the kind of building blocks to the foundational infrastructure of how we're going to go about this stuff for years to come. And other men are going to kind of revisit this information and be like, you know what? I can just start having conversations. I can just start building relationships. You mean we don't have to high five each other and talk trash about other people to work together? You mean to tell me we can just kind of identify that you see something, I see something, and we can put what we have together and grow from that? You mean that that's not going to take resources out of my hands? It's not me focusing on myself when I need to be focusing on myself, and I'm building something with somebody else, and we're going to have more provisions than we could by ourselves? Wow. It makes sense now that you say it that way. But before, I needed to be able to control it like my grandmama controlled the money she put under her bed, under her mattress. Well, she only put it on her mattress because her husband didn't stay in that bed that night. He was in somebody else's bed, you know? So she can hide it under her mattress because he wasn't going to get it there. He can go take it out the bank because it's his money, because it's a bank. And he was a man, and it was the 50s and the 60s. So she put that money on that mattress. She keep it there. She keep it in her bra, her brassiere, you know what I'm saying, tucked away. She had to take a certain initiative. Who sounds like the insurgent here? Who sounds like the person who's breaking away from established norms and systems? There you go. The idea that the person exhibiting masculinity, doing things his way, caused undue harm to others. It caused undue harm to women because they couldn't move that way. Now we live in a different society, and they can make moves. They can attempt to do things a certain way. It is not being toxic masculine just because a man decides to do something a certain way without consulting his wife. If a man consults his wife on everything he does, it will be questioned in that man if he actually has made any decisions. Because if he has to wait for his wife to decide something, and if he asks his wife a question on the front end and she doesn't give an answer until he has pointed in a certain direction to basically confirm or deny if his decision is a valid decision because he made it, not because she had nothing to contribute, first off. But the idea is that, yeah, this masculine male doing what he wants to do has to consider others. But I don't have to prove that I consider others. My data does. The decision I made proves that. You jumping in at the 11th hour saying we should go a different direction after I decided to go a direction, after I had an opportunity in a conversation with others to be able to pick the best decision, the direction that we go. You jumping in at 11th hour saying, but what if we go the other route? It doesn't matter anymore. We've discussed this. We already vetted it. And we decided upon this. Well, I didn't decide on anything. You you made a decision when you weren't vocal and present at the opportunity for you to tell me why you think a certain direction is the right direction. You waited for the decision to be made to then throw out the other direction and the other opportunity as if that's adding value. Saying consider the other way was is not adding value because I was already considering the fork in the road. It had a left fork and a right fork. I'm considering the fork in the road. When I chose the direction to go to the right side, you can't say, what about the left? Because I've already considered it. So my approach to masculinity is just that, being steadfast and true to the decision that you made. And if there was other information that tells you that you have to kind of reanalyze your decision, then yeah, you do it. But just because somebody else mentioned something else doesn't mean it's new to you. And you have to tell them that it's not new to you. Because that sounds like a debate. Why am I proving to you that your information isn't new to me when it literally isn't new to me? So I don't have to acknowledge it. I made my decision. Being confident in making your decision is a part of being prepared to be held accountable for your masculinity. So that's where I'm at. I know, Victor, you left me online by myself. I will ramble on our audience. And now we're a little over an hour and coming up on the first hour and a half, but I was hoping that we were going to have some younger brothers here that could speak to how they see things, because we're not going to see things the same way. So we always try to make sure we have a couple of different types of perspectives and approaches, because people need to see men working in concert together, moving in the right direction together, but not coming to the table thinking the same things. They need to know we're coming from different directions. They need to see that these two men having this conversation are people that are aligned with each other, in tune with each other. But we don't come from the same place. We don't come from the same background. We don't have the same experiences. We are just aligned and in tune with what it means to be held accountable and masculine. Sorry about that. Running the risk of being dead air. I will say the examples that I have taken in this new year, since I can't see your comments right now, and I'm trying to get online and see from the other end to see some of the comments, but running the risk of dead air when it comes down to this conversation, we have to look at what's in front of us. And when we make that decision, we have to know that everything we consider is then behind us. The only information that we add new is the information that we discover after we made the decision and started acting on that decision. So the whole concept of us being questioned or questioning ourselves, it doesn't add any value until new information is being added to the table. Like that. Your audio's up. You're still out. Oh, man. You look like you was about to come in with some heat, bro. Yeah, just the standard technical difficulties, people. I'm gonna mute my camera. Stop my camera to see if it helps you. Victor's trying to get right. I guess we got a little lag in the wireless service right now. Still rocking with you, but ain't got nothing. We're gonna have to end this, brother. We're gonna, we're gonna come back on this, man. We're gonna get back on this thing this week. We're gonna jump back in. We're gonna have to bring these people our lightning rounds, man. We're gonna have to let them see how them lightning rounds operate, how we take these keywords and create these concepts and these tiers since you got the book done. I really want you to hit me with a chapter or two so me and you can start going through these chapters so they can really get a good understanding of what they're gonna get out of this book, bro.
For those of you that don't know, I am on Clubhouse. Welcome to Accountable Masculinity Radio. You know, this is AM radio, and
I'm hanging tough now. I'm hanging tough. Got nothing, man. I'm going ahead and leave the studio. I'm going ahead and get off today. Get back to these kids, bro.